Definitely.
Good evening, everybody.
I'm going.
My name is Michael D'Italia. I'm the Director of Student Success Initiatives for the Division of Student Academic Success. And in that capacity, I oversee our Institute for Leadership and Action on campus, in addition to our experiential learning and undergraduate research opportunities. We are really excited to have you here with us tonight to participate in our stress management, self-care, and mental health workshop. And that's about all I have to say. Just wanted to say hi and welcome, and I'm going to turn things over to our presenters.
Hi, guys.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yes. I was just going to say, Robert Rousseau is here from Health Services just to give us a little information about the services that they offer before we dive into our presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hello, everyone, and I'm very excited to be here. And I'm gonna, try to present some key information to you and make it short and sweet, which is what I always like to call the work that I do on campus. It's short and sweet media productions. So let me share my screen. I want to go into a PowerPoint. Let's see, share, and let me pull this up. And come on, I know I can do this. Did a PowerPoint come up?
Right.
We're at the end of the slide, so you're going to want to go to the beginning, but it did come up, yeah.
Okay, let's go to the first one that I wanted to come in here, and there we go.
Then you
And
can do
let's go from
the
beginning.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. So as was mentioned, I work at the Student Wellness Center. I actually have two roles there. Oh, wait a minute, this is not supposed to be moving. All right.
You should be able to just hit backspace. And then it'll go.
Yeah. Okay. And stay there. All right. So very quickly, I have two roles there. I'm the coordinator of wellness promotion, which is what I'm in my role right now. And I am also the drug, alcohol, and nicotine assistance counselor. And this is the Student Wellness Center. And I've put my email here because if any of you have any questions at any time and you want to get in touch with me, all you have to do is do rrusso@camden.rutgers.edu. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions at any time and share with you, any support that I can in terms of the your goal to do well at Rutgers and also the uniqueness of this pandemic. Now, this next slide that you're now seeing tells you the wide array of services that the Wellness Center provides. Oh God, this is going to be very irritating. Let's see if we can, I wish I can freeze this, but as you can see here, we have medical services, psychological services, which is a primary component of that is counseling. I'll keep putting us back. We have a psychiatrist on board and also a learning assessment specialist that can do testing for ADHD or learning disabilities. So we really have a wide array of services. The medical services are pretty much anything that you can get with your primary care physician. They also will write scripts or refills for medications that you may need or are taking. In psych services, we offer counseling, we offer, consultations. If you're concerned about anything and want to speak to, a professional to talk about, options you may have or ways to think about how to deal with, any life circumstance, that's what our psychologists are there for. We have a psychiatrist that will evaluate you for possible need for medication for depression or excessive anxiety or overwhelming stress. And we have a learning specialist, like I mentioned, that will do special testing that if you have the Rutgers insurance, will be totally covered by that insurance. If you have other private insurance, it may be partially covered, but learning testing is, learning assessment is incredibly expensive. So we offer outstanding services with this for a minimum cost. And if you have, like I said, Rutgers insurance, it won't cost you anything. You'll be completely covered. Next is my neck of the woods, alcohol, drug, nicotine assistance counseling. And I offer counseling for alcohol, drug related issues, nicotine related issues. Also, if you grew up in a family that struggled with substance use and abuse, I offer, specialized services for that. Also, if you're currently concerned about someone in your life or in a relationship with someone who's struggling with that. So again, we order a wide, range of services here. The wellness outreach, it's important for you to know very quickly that all you have to do is go to our website, and there is a link on the front page to request a program, which is what was done here, in the sense that all you have to do is, if you're part of an organization, part of a group of students, and you want any kind of wellness or health related program, you can go there, send it to me. I will respond to you within 48 to 72 hours, and we will communicate to work out the particulars. Now, last but not least over here is a couple of the things you need to know about the Wellness Center. Gee, this program is terrible. Okay. Um, Number one, if you're enrolled, you're eligible to use our services. A lot of people think they have to be full-time. A lot of people think it's connected to private insurance. None of that is the case. If you are enrolled at Rutgers, you can use all of our services, okay? Most appointments, like just appointments with our medical staff, counseling staff, psychiatrists, there is no cost or copay for any of those meetings. Very important for you to know. Um, like I mentioned before, if you have additional costs, like if you have to do medical testing, or if you need a prescribed medication, that then comes under issues related to insurance. But the meetings with our professionals, there's no cost for that, um, which is a really nice benefit, because so many times now, if you're meeting with your own private physician or counseling services, that there are costs to that. There could be co-pays. There's no cost for this, and we're all very good at what we do. Um, Next, we're part of Rutgers, but confidentiality in terms of any of the services we provide are in full swing, as far as no one has the privilege to know that you have walked in our door, let alone anything you share with us. I always say I go by the Vegas rules, which is whatever is said in the wellness center stays in the wellness center. Okay. The number one way that information leaves is if you give us permission to release that information. I have listed our website here that has a lot more information that I'm going to bore you with tonight. Okay. I mean, it has all that you might need to know, and we're located on the second floor of the campus center. So right now, with the pandemic, most of our appointments are tele-appointments. As needed, a face-to-face meeting will be arranged depending on the circumstances, and that's a discussion between you and any provider that is at the Wellness Center. So at this point, I don't know if there were any questions, but I'm going to come out of this and ask the general question, if anyone has a question for me of any kind, as I'm trying to get back into the general.
So,
Robert, I think what we're
Yes.
gonna do, because we have quite a robust presentation ahead that Natalie had prepared, we're going to have the students write the questions in the chat. We're gonna do this presentation again tomorrow, so we'll have them write it in the chat again there, and then we'll submit all those questions to you or Dr. Sarah to get back to the students.
That's
That's all right.
fine, and I apologize for taking too long. So,
No,
okay.
it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to see. You might have to unshare yours before I can share mine. So if you go back into the Zoom, you can like stop.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not coming back into the general.
So see the at the bottom next to your Firefox, there's a Zoom button.
Yeah.
Click the Zoom. And you should be able to stop sharing your screen.
The host, which is Michael, he might be able to
Okay, I'm going to
override
stop
that.
the share right now. Okay. Should I
Okay.
stop the share?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Stop the share. So I'm
Thank
going
you.
to start. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. I'm going to share my screen and we can go ahead with our workshop. So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. This is the Institute for Leadership and Actions, Stress Management, Self-Care, and Mental Health workshop. My name is Natalie DeSandro. I am a senior majoring in social work. Anyone else can?
Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria Adieri, and I am a third-year nursing student.
Hi, everybody. If you just been thinking of stress management, if you just tilt your head to the side as a slight exercise, you'll see my picture the wrong way. I'm Shanila, and I'm an urban studies major.
Hello, everyone. You can turn your head back the right way. And my name is Nitan, and I'm a senior urban studies major.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Here are our objectives for today. We're going to define and provide some positive strategies for stress management, coping, and mental health. And we're going to review research discussing stress management techniques. We're going to connect mental health, coping, and stress management to the practice of leadership. Lastly, we're going to participate in a small activity that may help to increase our stress management abilities. Before we get into stress management, we need to be able to define stress, right? So stress is mental stress sources combined with mental stress reactions. So the way that I can break this down in my head is when you think of mental stress sources, those are the things that bring you stress. So that's going to look a lot different for me than for Robert, than for Shanila. Something that something that is a mental stress source for one person may be like nothing to somebody else. So maybe an upcoming test that you have, that may be a stress source. Or for those of us that were on in the very beginning, driving in the rain may be a mental stress source, right? So you take that source and you combine it with your mental stress reaction. So for example, me driving in the rain is a mental stress source. And the way that I may react to that source is by like getting really anxious, like I can't breathe, the way that you show your stress combined with the source of your stress creates stress in total, right? So if you just have one without the other, you won't really have that kind of like really like stressful reaction, because if you have your source but you don't have your reaction, there really isn't stress because you have the source but you didn't react to it in like that stressed out way. So I'm probably going to bring this example up a lot because I feel like it works well. But for me, if driving in the rain is my stress and I'm about to drive somewhere and it's raining, but I take a couple deep breaths and I don't allow myself to get so nervous, I'm not stressed, right? I have the source, but I was able to control my reaction to it. So in that case, I might have avoided my stress. For college students, a couple of main stress sources involve studying, life or economic factors, and career factors. So these are some things that come up a lot for college students as an age group in particular that cause stress. I want to talk about a couple of the initial bodily reactions that may happen from being stressed. So initial reactions are reduced energy, increased muscle tension, and emotional distress. So if you can think of a time that you were stressed, you might be able to think like, yeah, like maybe I felt really fatigued and my muscles got tight and sore. People talk about like holding stress in certain parts of their body, and that really does ring true. So the longer that you're feeling stressed, it has a lot of negative effects on your body, obviously, because you're being held in these like stressed fight or flight states for long periods of time, and nothing good comes from that. So your body will conserve resources and then kind of neglect other things that it maybe should be doing because of the fact that you're stressed. So that's a little bit about stress as a whole. Natan's going to tell us about two different kinds of stress: eustress and distress.
Yeah, so as Natalie mentioned, there are two different kinds of stress that we wanted to speak with you guys about. And really, we're going to be speaking mainly about distress, but eustress is positive stress, right? So it's actually good and healthy to have a little bit of stress in your life. It motivates you to do something just a little bit better. It motivates you to get something done just a little bit quicker or more thoroughly, right? So that's positive stress. It motivates you to do something better. This stress is that negative stress. That's a stress that really starts to take over you. That's a stress that makes you feel uncomfortable, makes you feel worried, and makes you feel stressed, right? And so that's negative stress. And that's what we're going to be speaking about today, is how to handle distress and negative stress.
So what is stress management and coping? So stress management and coping act as a way to reduce negative stress and restore and maintain a state of holistic well-being. And stress management slash coping, they also act as opportunities to strengthen your coping toolkit, promote realistic thought patterns, and subsequent changes to environmental distress. And then we have emotion-focused coping and problem-focused coping. So I just said a lot of words, so I'm going to dumb it down and explain it. Um, so an example that I'm going to give as an opportunity that I used to, the example that I'm going to give out of my coping toolkit is music. So I listened to this song by Jill Scott, any Jill Scott fans out there? But I listened to a song called Blessed by Jill Scott, and it just talks about her being grateful for all the things that she has. And that song really grounds me. So if I'm having unrealistic thought patterns and my thoughts are just like, I'm ruminating on thoughts and they're just going really fast through my head, that song will ground me and stop my thoughts and combat negative thoughts. And in turn, that stops my distress. So I'm back to a grounded level. And then we have emotion-focused coping and problem-focused coping. And emotion-focused coping is modulating or regulating emotions generated by stress. And problem-focused coping are attempts to govern or modify the problem itself, and in order to address what exactly is stressing you. So me and Natalie were discussing earlier, and problem-focused coping seems like a better option because you're not just addressing the feeling, but you're actually you're pinpointing the problem that's actually stressing you.
So back to me. These are some really good ways that I found kind of can nip stress in the is it butt or bud? I never know. I'll say nip it in the bud. Pretty sure it's bud. As it's happening, to kind of like be able to bring you back and center you and reduce your stress. So the first one, I'm going to kind of give like ways that we can do these in like a step-by-step way. Just so you know, the first one that I think is the bedrock for most other stress management techniques is deep abdominal breathing. So if you're familiar with yoga or meditation, you do a lot of this deep abdominal breathing exercises when you're doing these other kind of meditative stress relieving activities. So first thing you're going to want to do if you're going to do some deep abdominal breathing is establish a comfortable standing position, which I thought was interesting because normally when you're doing like meditation, they recommend that you sit, but in this resource, it had said to establish a comfortable standing position. You want to hang your arms loosely, so don't be like super rigid, but you at the same time, you want to maintain a good posture and have your head even with your neck, right? So not like looking down, looking up, looking to the side, like kind of like a straight line with really good posture. From there, you're going to want to inhale and exhale through your mouth. And as you're inhaling and exhaling, it might be helpful if you're practicing this to close your eyes and just try to visualize the breath coming into your abdomen and going out of it. So kind of like, in and out, and kind of picturing that. And what this can help you with is that it'll counter rapid and shallow breathing that may come with a stressful reaction. So if you like just learned some news that you weren't expecting and you can start to feel yourself breathing fast and getting worked up, taking a second, getting your posture right and taking those deep abdominal breaths can help you snap out of that pretty quickly. And another technique is visualization. So to prep some of the preparation that comes with visualization is actually doing some deep abdominal breathing. Like I mentioned, that kind of is the bedrock for every other thing we're going to discuss. But you want to do a couple of those abdominal breaths first to relax yourself, because if you're in that super stressed state, you're not going to be able to just right away begin your visualization. You're going to want to like take a couple breaths to relax first and foremost. And then you feel like you've kind of, calmed yourself down a little bit by doing those breathing exercises, you're going to visualize a serene and tranquil scene. So this is going to be different for everybody. Obviously, like what one person finds serene may not be serene to me, but what the example that was given was lying on the beach. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people may, automatically come to when they think of something that makes them feel calm and relaxed. So first you do your breathing, and then you can visualize a scene that would make you feel peaceful and calm. So this provides a whole body escape using a scene to promote relaxation. So next would be focusing. So once again, we're going to do some deep abdominal breathing to get us in the right mindset to practice this technique. So you want to adopt the right attitude and concentrate. So focusing is all about trying to shut out all of these external or internal distractions and focus on one thought, one activity, just really narrow in on whatever it is that you need to be doing at the moment, and trying to shut out all of the extra fluff that might be barraging your mind. So you want to relax and prepare your mind and concentrate in preparation for focused attention and slow down your thinking processes. So like Shanila mentioned, sometimes the thoughts are just coming a mile a minute, right? We've all experienced that. And to slow down that process and really think about what's important in the moment would be so helpful. You're focusing on one thing at a time. So this can be an internal topic or an external topic. So sometimes you may hear like focus on just like one, like the sensation in one body part. That could work for this, to just sit and focus on, okay, how does my like left quad feel, right? Just focusing on something other than whatever is, plaguing you. So this enables you to be totally present with no distractions, no internal distractions or external distractions. Lastly, there's an isometric squeeze exercise. So you want to keep your body loose and relaxed, similar to what you do in your deep abdominal breathing. You want to gingerly squeeze your shoulders upward and in unison. So not like one at a time. You do them both at the same time. So basically you're shrugging your shoulder and neck muscles up, and you want to hold it up in that shrugged up way for 5 to 10 seconds. So really like feel all that tension and all that stress, I guess, up, in your shoulder region, and then you just drop it. You just relax it down. So I think this is a really cool one because you can literally like feel all that stress when your like bunching up and you have all that tension. And then when you just like drop it and just take a breath out, it just feels like, it feels so good. So to be able to do that a couple times can really just like show you like, okay, if I just like let go, like how good could this feel, right? So this promotes relaxation and reduces tension in your shoulder and neck area, which is where people tend to hold a lot of stress in their shoulder and neck area, but you can also do it in other body parts as well. It doesn't have to be this area, but this seems like the, the easiest to show you guys. So those are some stress management techniques that we found. Victoria is going to talk about the connection that stress management, coping, all this stuff has to leadership.
Okay. So basically, learning to manage stress is very useful, not only as a person, but also as a leader for many reasons, because leaders work their best when they're in an optimum zone. And stress management helps to resist burnout. So we're going to talk about burnout in a few. And it's always good to prioritize your self-care for not only you, but for others around you as well. So it can allow you to kind of like balance out your life. So basically with when you work with other people, like I work with different types of people. I work customer service, so I deal with different types of people every single day. People are unique. People have different reactions to different things. That's why it's very important that I know that in the face of stress that I can find ways to not only de-escalate an issue, but to make sure that the guest is not stressed out as well, because then that's bad customer service. Burnout is also a thing when you find yourself either working too much or you're not working, you're working too hard. So you can be stressed if you're putting too much effort and not enough thought into something. So it can be in school, for example, we experience burnout all the time in school. I have experienced burnout in school as well. And with that, sometimes it's just good to take a step back to kind of refocus what your goals are. That's what I like to do when I'm burned out. Refocus what my goals are, short term and long term. Try to figure out a good planning mechanism. So planning, what do I want to do for this week? What do I want to do for next month? And also focusing on ways that I can fit self-care in between my schedule as well, so that I can prevent the burnout from happening again. So I would probably tell myself that I want to get my nails done on Friday instead of going to work. And that's a good focus on self-care. And prioritizing self-care, like I also said again, it's also good to make sure that before you can put your best foot forward on anything that you want to do in life, you want to make sure that you are 100% in whole within yourself. So that's the key to being a good leader. It's one, making sure that you know how to deal with stressful situations. Two, knowing how to provide self-care for yourself so that you can perform at your best self. And three, making sure that you're not only performing self-care for yourself, but for those around you as well, and to spread the word and let everyone else know that they should not kill themselves over anything, because it's not worth it to be stressed. It's not worth it to be stressed about anything. It's always good to be focused. It's always good to be whole within yourself, and it's always good to know what you stand for and know what you're solid about. Therefore, you can always be sure in that you're always giving your best and you're not gonna flip flop or anything like that. So yeah, thank you. And
Does anyone have any questions for us based on our presentation so far? Okay. All right. So the moment you've all been waiting for, going to practice one thing that we did talk about, and then one new thing that we're going to introduce. So I'm thinking I'm going to stop sharing my screen, because we don't really need the screen right now. And I was hoping that if you guys were comfortable, but if not, it's totally okay, if you'd want to have your video on so we can all kind of like, you know, do this together, even though we might look a little bit silly, but it's okay if not. I'm gonna keep mine on, so I'll look silly for everybody else if you want. But I have our notes for how to do deep abdominal breathing. So I'm going to kind of go over those again just real quick. That the first thing that we want to do is be in a standing position if it's possible for you to be in that position. I'm going to stand. I will stand since that's what the reading told me to do, was to stand. And then we're going to want to hang our arms loosely. So don't be too rigid. You can't even see me. It's fine. I'll just be like a shadow. You can kind of see me. So, you know, hang your arms loosely. You don't want to be too like stiff or anything like that. Just have them, you know, in a comfortable position for you. And posture. Our posture is so important. So don't be like having your head down or up. You can really like feel when you have a straight line going through your spine from the top of your head, you know, to the nape of your neck, right? So you're up straight. It's kind of like a proud stance. That's kind of how I see it, that you're like, you know, standing proud, but you're also comfortable. Something that I like to do when I'm doing this is have one hand on my stomach so that you can like not only visualize, but you can actually like feel the air going in and out. So I'm going to do that. If you'd like to do that too, feel free. I thought maybe we could take 6 breaths together, doing our deep abdominal breathing. So I'm going to breathe in through your mouth, take a super big inhale through our mouths, and then out through our mouths. I'm actually going to mute myself so you guys don't have to hear me breathing super loud, but I will come back on after I do like 6 or 7. Okay, that was 6 for me. I hope you guys got to get at least 5 in, just to really be able to feel how it feels to take the deepest breaths that maybe you've taken all day today, I hope. I think if you were meditating, you would be obviously taking those deep breaths for a lot longer. I didn't want to put you guys through like minutes upon minutes of deep abdominal breathing, just a little taste of it. And Natan also has a stress management technique that involves our breathing that he's going to share with us as well.
We here at the ILA love to make you guys breathe. I was just curious though, before I go on to that breathing exercise, for those of you that stood up and did that one, how do you feel now after doing it? Feel free to unmute yourself or write it in the chat. If you feel better or worse, share with us. We'd be curious to know.
Well, I felt very relaxed. I stood up. When Natalie stood up, I started breathing in and out once she started, and I actually feel really good and like light.
Thanks. I'm so glad.
Awesome. So in the interest of time, I'll go on to my exercise, but if folks would continue writing in the chat how they feel, I'm glad to see that people do feel relaxed. So this is another breathing exercise to make you feel relaxed a bit if you're not already. It's called Square Breathing, and actually HopeWorks, that's an organization in Camden that, among other things, focuses on trauma-informed care. And they did a presentation for us on trauma-informed care, and they showed this particular breathing exercise that they say that is actually shared with snipers in the military because it's that effective. So I'm hoping that it'll be effective in this situation too. I'm going to first describe what it is, and then we'll try 2 rounds of it. So square breathing, what you have to do essentially is to breathe for 4 seconds. You then hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then again hold for 4 seconds, if I could say that word. So I'm just gonna say the instructions and you guys follow along. So breathe, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I hope that that had some folks relax, but we're gonna do it again. So breathe, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Thank you guys for participating in that. Again, if you could either unmute yourself or write in the chat how that particular exercise made you feel.
In the meantime, I'm going I'm going to reshare my screen. Get back to our presentation. Thank you guys so much for breathing with us. We just had a couple of discussion questions. One of them involved how you're feeling after the breathing exercises that we just completed, but I'm seeing that a lot of people are writing in the chat, which I'm so happy. So I'm just going to read a couple of them out loud. So we have, I feel very light after that. It brought me back down to reality, good and relaxed, very relaxing, and focusing on the timing helped me relax even more. Someone else say it was relaxing and brings you back to your body and gets you out of your head. So if anybody had any other insight to add to that question of just how you're feeling, maybe like even how you were feeling before we started and then after we did some of those, feel free to unmute. I'll wait a little bit and see if anybody wants to say anything. Okay, it's okay. A lot of you typed in the chat, so thank you for that. But the other question that we had for you guys is, what are some of your favorite self-care activities? I know that self-care and stress management look different for different people, like a lot of the things that we talked about today. So I'm wondering what some of you guys like to do for self-care. Also, I would love new ideas. That's partially why I put this question. So if anybody wants to unmute and share some of their favorite self-care activities.
Something that I know that is really important for self-care is going to the gym. I feel like cardio, any kind of lifting, anything that you enjoy, something that is active, I think that's very important for self-care and stress management, because it does release like endorphins and like dopamine into your system so that you feel better afterwards. Somebody said yoga and like going for a run. I think that's so important for people to de-stress and feel better, and just for caring for yourself as a whole.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I personally get a massage and a facial once a month. I'm a member and I do it because I find myself always stressed, trying to balance life with school full time and working full time, and being a full time mother and home, taking care of home. So that to me does wonders, works wonders on my stress. And even if I just go to the nail salon or hair salon, it just makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, I think it's just so interesting that we have like those are two very different responses, right? But at the same time, they're both things that make you guys feel good and happy and light, and that's what we're looking for, right? I'm just gonna read a couple of I'm gonna read all the things that people wrote in the chat. So we have Gina said that if she's feeling really stressed, they'll listen to their favorite songs and run to clear their head. So more of that cardio and that working out to release the endorphins and make you feel good. Going for a run, again, taking a super long and hot shower, definitely. Yoga, definitely. These are all so good. Thank you guys so much for writing in the chat.
I'll mention two things for me quickly.
Uh-huh.
One is the need for balance, because all work and no play means I'm burning out. So it's the kind of thing that I need to balance and constantly balance, work and then leisure, having fun. And the other thing that comes with that is the need to have boundaries. That it's important for me to have, when I'm at work, and when I'm home, I'm not at work. So it also means, not taking emails at home and crisscrossing those boundaries. A little bit more of a challenge with the pandemic because I'm working at home. Okay, so it's even more of an issue to make sure that I maintain those boundaries so that I can be engaged with whatever I'm doing, and maybe there's stress to it, but also relaxing and de-stressing. So.
Yeah, I think that balance is at the heart of everything, right? Especially when you're managing your stress, like you mentioned, balancing work and play and not letting them become so intertwined, because then there's no boundaries. I think that's.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, of course.
I actually, Mr. Rob, I was gonna ask that question, but you brought up the point of the pandemic and all of us working from home. I think another tip, because it's really hard, and I was talking to my friend about this, I think it was yesterday, that usually like our brain is used to like automatically having those like work play boundaries, because like we're actually switching from like, so if we were in person at school, like we would be switching from going to Rutgers to either our dorm or our house when school is done, but we don't really have the option of doing that. So I would just suggest like if you have a schedule or a planner, like making a hard stop for yourself. So like at this time I'm done working. At this time I'm gonna stop, eat dinner, and just maybe watch Netflix or something like that. And I think another good thing too is trying to incorporate maybe like an hour or so, maybe 30 minutes to an hour of like self-care each day. So I think that's really important as well.
Well, and I
I
think
agree. I agree with the things that you mentioned, and given that so much structure has been removed due to the pandemic, that to have a weekly schedule and making sure that you schedule downtime, leisure, or play in the midst of all the work you're doing is an important way to do self-care. So I agree with the points that you made and think they're very important.
And I think on the flip side, while we're going to school from home, it's important to make sure that like when we're at work or in class, like we're not at home as well, right? And so I know a boundary that I set for myself is I'm not allowed to wear sweatpants before 6 p.m. No matter what kind of mood I'm waking up in, no matter how I feel, it doesn't matter if I'm at my house. I try to wear a shirt with a collar and buttons on it, and no sweatpants, because for me that just is an outward symbol of being in work mode, and so helps remind me that I'm in work mode and it's not time to crash just yet.
I think these little things that we do are so important. And some people mentioned it in the chat how they just like to make their bed in the morning and how that's able to just set a whole new tone for the day. And I think that's so true. It's so crazy for me to think back to like in high school, I never made my bed. Like I don't know how I don't know how I lived like that. It's horrible. But just like in the morning, just getting out of bed and making your bed in the morning, changing your clothes, right? Because now we're home all the time. So just changing into out of your pajamas, I think is really important. And those little things can help us along the way to feel less stressed and more in control. I just wanted to ask, what is music at 432 hertz? Because I have no idea what that is. Cassius, if you can write it in the chat too.
I think it's the sound of this music at 432 hertz. I think it's the sound. I'm not too sure though.
Like super loud?
Yeah, I don't know. I know music is like the sound, the loudness is defined in hertz, but I don't know. I have no idea.
I learned about that before, and it's like a softer kind of music, and it like supposed to like clear your mind, and it makes it easier. It's like a meditative kind of music, and it like relaxes your body. I think that's what it is. Yeah, because usually like hertz has to do with sound, but I think
Yeah.
this is something different. I think this is like meditation.
Okay.
Oh, so
I
cool.
did a Google research, and there's also a musical artist called 432 HZ Music that was in the 19th century, was an Italian composer. I'm not going to say the name, who did those kind of orchestra and stuff. So I guess it could be all these different things if Cassius wants to share in the chat what it is.
I was just curious, just because of everything.
So music at 432 hertz. I don't know if this is true, but 432 hertz is supposed to be like the natural resonance of the ear. I don't know if that's true. Most music, I think, is at like 490 hertz. So when you like play it down, it makes it it changes the way the music sounds, and it lets you pick up much more in what the music is saying.
Yeah, that's what I learned too.
That's cool.
Well, that is really interesting. I never have heard of that. So thank you. I'll have to look into that.
Somebody just typed in the chat, how do you change it? There are like videos on YouTube of like popular songs that people have scaled down themselves, because I'm pretty sure you need audio software to do it. But one of my favorite bands, one of their entire albums, it was scaled down by some fans, and so it's easy to listen to, and it makes me go to sleep.
Huh. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone who shared. We're just going to have Victoria talk a little bit about her personal favorite self-care activity. But thank you, everybody.
So I wanted to share with you guys one of the apps that I use personally for my own self-care. I use it almost every day if I'm not like rushing to work. It's called Calm. So the cool thing about Calm is a sleep and meditation app. So it's dual purpose. You can use it to sleep if you're having difficulty sleeping, or you can use it to meditate and center yourself. So it has a lot of cool features that is free. Some of the other stuff you have to pay for, but I only use the stuff that is free right now, and it's still a lot that I'm still going through. So my morning routine, I like to meditate in the morning, so I can like center myself, if that makes sense. I like to make sure that I'm not, because it's so weird, because when I sleep, I feel like I think in sleep and I wake up stressed. So it's the weirdest thing that happens. Sometimes I can wake up to like an anxiety attack because I was thinking in my head the entire time I was sleeping. So I was recommended this app, and when I wake up and I feel that way, I just tend to, something like the deep breathing exercise Natalie was talking about, and Natan as well. I tend to do those, and then the app is really cool because it's guided, so you're not doing this by yourself. It tells you all the instructions. It tells you when to breathe. It tells you when to hold your breath. It tells you when to relax. It tells you inhale and exhale. It's actually pretty cool. And so that's my morning routine. And then in the middle of the day, sometimes if I come back from work, or if I'm going in between classes, since we're now at home, I tend to meditate in between because my classes are long. They're like 3 hours long. So I tend to want to make sure I'm not overwhelmed, which tends to happen after a nursing class. So yeah, so I really would recommend you guys to download it. It's free. I'm not telling you guys this. This is not a sales pitch. I'm not telling you guys to buy something. It's been really useful to me, so that's why I want to share. One last thing that I wanted to add as well, but I didn't have time to. I also listen to lo-fi music when I study. So I'm a thinker. So when I'm studying, my mind can like run. So lo-fi music keeps either a really soft or a really, it can be jazz, it can be coffee music. Recently I discovered crackling, what's that? It's called a crackling fireplace sound. And I never, with rain in the background. And honestly, that's been the best thing ever, because you don't realize how like little sounds help influence your thinking and help get you in the zone, you know? Like when you go to coffee shops and then you're like wondering why you're so focused now, it's because they have background music that's helping you focus. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. And if anyone tries it, like shoot me an email to tell me how it's going, because I love to talk about things like this. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
I just wanted to,
I'll put it in the chat for you guys.
thank you. Wanted to really quick go over if you're ever feeling like you are having a really hard time managing your stress and that it is becoming too much, either for you or for people that you're close to. These are some of the symptoms of depression. I'm not going to go through all of them, but they're here on the screen. Some of the most common ones may be trouble concentrating, remembering details, and making decisions, fatigue, pessimism, hopelessness. I just want you guys to look over these really quick just to internalize them, understand them a little bit. These are the symptoms of depression. And I also wanted to include the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, as well as the Student Wellness Center email and information for you guys. So these are our resources. Thank you so much for coming. I hope that the breathing exercises and some of the cognitive changes that we talked about are helpful to you in the future. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody coming. Does anybody have any final questions? Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you guys.
Wonderful presentation.